Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mind Split Cafe. Today we have an interesting one with our returning guest, Dr. Foti. Dr. Foti, how's it going today?
Amazing. It's a beautiful day and happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, today's hot topic is pretty interesting. I don't think we've necessarily touched on this just yet, so I'm super excited to get it on the way. Do you want to give our listeners just kind of a quick breakdown of our thought process, and we'll get started?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely in the healthcare community, this is being spoken about a lot, but I think just in general, you may hear about these things on the news and whatnot, but just about how the healthcare system is very much broken and on the medical education side, all the way through practicing doctors. Unfortunately, again, we're in a very unfortunate broken system, mental health crisis, and really discuss that and what we can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that it's a great topic, and it's definitely something that needs to be touched on. Probably a whole lot to unpack in such a little amount of time, but let's get started. So, I know you said that the healthcare system is broken, and that is a massive statement, and I agree. But let's break down that statement so then we can kind of better understand how it's broken and better understand how we as a community or a society can help fix it.
Definitely, definitely. And I think it's at different levels. Um unfortunately, the bottom line is that doctors are less happy and everyone is noticing it, right? So, what do I mean by doctors are less happy, right? More and more physicians are leaving medicine or creating hybrid careers where medicine is just a small part of their life and they're doing other things. And the reason that they're not happy, of course, everything's a bit, what do we say, multifactorial. There's a lot of things that go into it, and every physician's different. But the big picture, the big reason I think that doctors are not happy is that they've lost their autonomy. They've lost the decision making, and those making the big decisions on how they should practice medicine, how many patients they should see every day, and how much time they have with their patients is being dictated by those who now own healthcare systems and physician practices, being either insurance companies or private equity, right? So
Wow.
that's what I mean by physicians not being happy.
So when you say that they're losing their latitude or their autonomy as far as how they conduct their practice or how they see their patients or even the frequency or the time that they see their patients, so are insurance companies dictating like, hey, you have to see this type of patient for a minimum of 15 minutes, or what do you mean with that? Can you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they're dictating uh billing, right? So what you have to order for your patients and oh, how many labs and oh, this is covered by insurance, so we got to order it. They'll tell the practice these are all the things that they cover, so we might as well order them, right? Which
Oh,
is
wow.
which is not proper medicine. It's yeah, someone might see it as, oh yeah, well, the more the better. When you say that we check more things, well, not necessarily, because a lot of the times it leads to unnecessary testing, which isn't always benign, right? What if you get an unnecessary X-ray or CAT scan because of that extra blood test that just seemed a little off, and now you have to follow it up because if you don't, then you're in trouble, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, but also again, when medical practices, right, are owned by either insurance companies or private equity, right, the bottom dollar is money. So how do you get more money out of doctors? They see more patients, right? So to see more patients, you have to spend less time with them. You're
Yeah.
talking about 15, 20-minute patient visits and 20 to 25 patients a day, right? So that those companies get their bottom dollar. All they see though are the dollar signs, but that's not enough time. That's not proper medicine to see a patient for only that little amount of time. It's not enough time to build rapport with your patient so your patient trusts you and has that type of doctor patient relationship that we
Yeah.
all grew up having with our doctors. And it's not enough time, honestly, to address all of our patients' concerns.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think 15 minutes is just like the breaking the ice part, like just getting to know the doctor. I don't think 15 minutes is enough to even do that, especially when it's such an intimate relationship, such as patient doctor. I mean, the doctor should know all your dirtiest secrets as far as healthcare. So like that, there's got to be some sort of relationship there.
Yes, and I read an article recently that really, you could even break it down to 7 minutes because if you add the time that the doctor's typing in their computer, the time that they're doing a physical exam, the time that they're telling someone, to put the orders in, the nurse, I need this, I need that, the actual time they're actually speaking to a patient can be boiled down to almost around 7 minutes, half the
Wow.
time. Imagine how much time, well, not even imagine, remember how much time we spent with our doctors and talking to them if we
Yeah,
wanted to,
that's
right?
exactly what I was thinking. Is like as a kid, I remember, luckily I grew up in a small town and my dad was a doctor, so a lot of his
Mhm.
colleagues, obviously
Yeah.
were my doctors, so I wouldn't have to like sit there and wait. So that was a great thing. But
Amazing.
just being in the doctor's office, once I was in the patient room waiting for the doctor and you talking to the doctor, I felt like it was an hour at the least, 30, 40 minutes, it seemed like.
Yes. And instead, you're waiting an hour to 2 hours instead of spending that time with the doctor because a lot of the time, again, we say 15 minutes is not enough. So you're either spending only that 15 minutes and maybe your patients don't have to wait, or a lot of the time, doctors are like, yeah, you give me 15 minutes, but I'm going to spend what I need to spend because it's my license on the line. So I'm going to spend as much time as I need to get this done. But because they booked so many patients, why do you think we have
Yeah.
such large waiting times? Right? So it's either proper medicine, but patients are waiting forever, or really quick, what do we call it, like drive-through medicine, and you're not waiting, right?
Yeah. So it's
Either
kind of
way,
like
it's
a
wrong.
double-edged sword at that point. I mean, there's three people that have to be appeased here: the patient, the doctor, and the insurance company, or the financial part of it.
Right.
And all three of them being appeased contradicts all three of them. So someone's losing out on this, and typically it's the doctor or the patient, right?
Yes, yes. And most of the time, the doctors don't want the patient to be losing out. So again, they'll do what they need to do, but again, then the practice isn't happy, right? They're spending too much time with their patients, which they're going to be told. Maybe they're not billing as high as they should be. There's just certain codes we have to put in as doctors, and insurance companies only care about that we bill as much as on paper we could, because what does that mean? More money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the issue. And what I mean by that kind of affects the other side of it is because of this, right? Physician burnout is so high,
Hmm.
right? And physician burnout leads to mental health disorders, right? Anxiety and depression. And those who want to go into medicine, those who are looking at, do I apply to medical school? They see this, right? They see it. And now less and less applicants are actually well, I say potential applicants are actually applying to medical school because they
Wow.
don't wind up becoming applicants because they don't apply, right? Because they see it.
So do you have and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but do we have like some statistical numbers or something of like the decline in it? Because that'd be interesting to see, and we could save that for like one of our
Yeah,
newsletter articles. But what does that
yeah.
statistics look like?
You know what? I don't have the exact numbers, and I'd love to send you a graphic. Maybe we can plug that
Yeah.
in here during the episode. But I'll say that every year, medical school applications have been decreasing, and at the same time, every year, more and more medical schools are opening. So it's like this, right?
Yeah, that's weird.
Right, right. So, medical schools, and people may not know this, across the country are struggling to fill their classes. That is the crisis that we're in. Yeah.
That's interesting. I knew that was kind of like what they say. It's a psychiatry is a retiring breed, that the majority of psychiatrists are like 55 and older, and the incoming psychiatrists, there isn't enough to eclipse the ones leaving. So it kind of sounds like that may be the case with just regular medical as well, whether it's being retired, people retiring and not enough coming in, or just a mass exodus type thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the phrase non-clinical career for physicians is now increasing in popularity, where
Wow.
doctors are seeking alternative careers. And I can tell you some of them, right? So there's something called a medical science liaison, which is basically someone who's a doctor,
Mhm.
but they're not treating patients. What they're doing is they work for a pharmaceutical company and they go to different hospitals and offices and whatnot and just educate on the science behind the medication, right? But
Interesting.
they're not treating patients at all.
Yeah, they're
That's
just using their knowledge.
Yeah. So that's something that's been gaining popularity. Doctors are going into other things in pharma as well in terms of different careers within there. Uh, you know, writing grants and grant writing and research behind pharmaceutical and all that stuff. Because like a lot of these pharma companies need a doctor to be reviewing their, research and see that it's
Yeah, like
clinically
a medical
appropriate.
director type role or something.
That's right. So they're going into those type of roles. And then everything else in between, right? So sometimes they'll change their practice to just like part-time, or they'll do like what's called a locum tenens, which is like you go to different hospitals across the area and work a couple days here, a couple days there, and
Yeah,
then they'll
like a
do other
traveling
things.
doc. Yeah,
That's right.
traveling doc. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
right. Yep. Yeah. Because obviously there's a physician shortage because of all of this.
Yeah.
So they'll take what they can get. They don't care if they're full time or not. They'll take whatever doctors whenever they can come and work, right? So that just kind of is a product of all of this.
Yeah, and one of the things that we had mentioned when we started this was that we need to find ways that this can be fixed or alleviated in some way. In your eyes, what can we do to fix this or to help alleviate it? And I know that it's up here. The problem's up here, and we as society members, we're down here. So what can we do to help alleviate this for the doctors?
So the big push needs to happen in terms of doctors need to take back medicine. And what do I mean by that? So doctors need to go back to exactly how I'm sure your dad and so many others practice, where they weren't owned by these companies. I'm talking about private practice or group practice with just a couple of physicians who own the practice. But as physicians say, oh, should a physician know the practice? They don't know business, right? Yeah, but they dictate if the physician owns the practice, dictate how many patients you see in a day as a physician, right? Which because they know the amount of time that they should be spending with patients, right?
Yeah.
So that's really we have to go back to private practice and physician-owned practices. The issue there, right? And actually, someone brought this up, but based on an article I wrote recently, which they're very much right. When doctors come out of residency, right, they're you know presented with these different options. Now, on the back burner, as many probably know, they probably have hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans.
Oh yeah.
And as you may know, Chris, and maybe others don't, so I'll say to start a private practice, it's like starting any business. You don't make money a lot right away. You have to hire staff. You have to find a building. You got to pay rent. You got to do all the things to keep the lights on,
You got to
right?
get the patients too.
And the patience to keep the
Yeah.
lights on, right? It's not just patient. You don't have like 1,000 patients waiting for you, right? Like any business, you don't have 1,000 customers waiting for you if it's a brand new business, right? Same thing,
Yeah, you
right?
got to
So
scale.
you got to pay for your loans, though, right? On the flip side, you have these again insurance company owned and private equity group owned practices coming to you and say, "Don't worry, here's a couple $100,000 salary, and you don't got to worry about any of that." Which one would you choose, right? So
Yeah.
that's that's why the shift happened, right? That's a big part, at least, of why the shift happened. Because doctors didn't want to have to worry about that. They're like, "Oh, great! I don't have to worry about overhead. I just got to go and see patients. You'll pay me a couple $100,000 a year or more, depending on your specialty. Sure, why not? I'll do that." Now, so the question is, how do we go the other way? How do we convince
Yeah.
new
How do we
doctors
revert
coming in?
that?
One thing that maybe is a little obvious, maybe not so, is erasing student debt, right? So I don't think that doctors or anyone going into any healthcare field should have to pay for their education, or
Yeah.
that's part of their education.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that if you're going into the field of healthcare and it's something of the magnitude of a doctor, or, um, I don't want to say that someone that's lower than a doctor isn't worth anything, but, something that's like a doctor or a surgeon, someone of that nature, yeah, I absolutely agree. Nurse, even.
Yeah. Oh, I'll say, listen, honestly, I'll say nurse, PA, nurse practitioner,
Yep.
anyone going to the healthcare field, because at the end of the day, we're providing a public service, in my opinion, right? Which is why there's something called public service loan forgiveness that the government offers, right? So clearly it is a public service, which I think I don't see how anyone could disagree that treating patients is not a public service, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's a public service just like a police officer, a firefighter, anything. We're providing a service to the community. We're taking care of you, right? So why should
100%.
I be in debt hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans, right? So that's my opinion. And I think that if you do erase that, it incentivizes someone coming out of residency. Now I'm like, you don't have that burden of that student loan debt on your back. And maybe you'll be more incentivized to start that practice or go into something in that nature. And more of these physician owned practices will open up because, again, it'll incentivize them to do so without the burden of a student loan debt. So that is one thing that I think could be done and should be done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is definitely a great first step. Now, I want to kind of jump back to another part that we mentioned in the beginning, and I wanted to see if maybe we can paint a picture, a POV picture, a point of view of a doctor and what they're going through when dealing with this. So, they're a doctor, they want to see their patients the full amount of time to make sure that they see them properly, treat them properly, whether it be 30, 45 minutes, an hour. But then you
Mhm.
have your boss or the person that signs your paychecks essentially breathing down your neck saying, "Hey, you got 15 minutes and you got to go on to the next one." Now, what does that do to a doctor? And I mean, just their morals. Like you took an oath to make sure that your patient is good, yet the person that is paying you and putting these patients in front of you is saying, "Wash your hands, move on to the next." That's got to be some sort of internal conflict of, I mean, sorts. I mean, there's got to be a few internal conflicts.
It's the most stressful and overwhelming thing because we know the amount of time we need with our patients, right? And especially, patients coming in who have, multiple medical conditions, a lot of things that you need to address. Now, if you're coming in and you're a young, healthy person and you got the sniffles and possibly a cold, yeah, maybe I can get through your visit in 15 minutes. Sure. But not every patient coming through our door is that, right? That that
Yeah.
that case, right? A lot of the times patients and if you do have multiple medical conditions and you are sick, or you just have multiple concerns that you want addressed, you deserve to have that time to do so, right? That's proper medicine. So it is stressful, it's overwhelming. And again, like I went into it a bit, but I'll go more now. Most of the time, we push that 15 minutes. And again, that's why there's such long waiting times and why those might wonder, why am I waiting so long at the doctor's office? Well, because the doctor wants to spend the perfect amount of time with their patients, but unfortunately, they've been overbooked by the system.
I'm glad you brought that up again and kind of worded it that way again, because that's a very common question that you know. When I was a kid, I didn't really have to wait for doctors, but now that I'm an adult and away from people that knew my dad, I have to wait for doctors. I have to sit in the waiting room along with everyone else, and it's a common question that I pops up in my head, and even in the people that are waiting with me. Why am I waiting so long? If you tell me I'm going to be seen at this time, why is it 45 minutes after and I'm still in the waiting room? And it's not even
Right.
the doctor's fault. It's because of the system. So it affects everyone involved.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, you were asking about statistics, and I just thought about this. I was like, I do have a statistic for you. There was this, I think I remember it pretty much, but there was a survey done of medical students. I think it's like thousands of medical students participated in the survey. And I think it was around 68% of those medical students who were surveyed are already thinking about how they can transition away from a clinical medical career.
Oh, wow. So 68% of students, and I kind of missed the first part. So was it from a specific year, a specific graduating group? Where is these 68 coming from?
This was, I think, if it was not this year, last year, it was a pretty recent study. It just happened. Yeah,
Wow, that is insane. 68%.
yeah, yeah. Because they see their future, Chris. They see their future in a way where they see the burnout, right? The burnout crisis. They see the mental health crisis, and they're like, oh, geez, well, at least I have to finish this now. I started it, but what do I do? You know what I mean? And that's an issue, right? Because there used to be a real love of a medical career, an honor, like a kind of like you saw that long white coat, like myself when I was a kid, you saw that long white coat, and it was like, wow,
Yeah,
it almost shimmered. It was like that's
it's like
can't
nowadays
even.
wearing a crown.
It was yeah. I was like, I couldn't even imagine having something like a long white coat on. Oh my goodness, like it was like I'm sure you looked like your dad that way. Like it's such an honor to be in that profession, right? And
Yeah,
let me tell
absolutely.
you, the shimmer has dimmed, Chris, so
Yep,
to speak.
it's a little different now.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate. So much so that there's so many fewer primary care physicians, right? Which we need primary care physicians,
Yeah,
right?
that's the first line of defense, right? That's the first one that everyone goes to.
Yeah, that's your advocate, right? That's your person that like gets you to where you need to go, right? And they make around the probably one of the lowest salaries of doctors, and you put burnout into it, right? Burnout affects, I think, primary care physicians the most because again, that's the first doctor you're going to see. So who do you think gets the most patients, right? And
Yep.
so I would definitely argue it affects primary care docs the most. There's such a physician shortage, but especially of primary care doctors that, and again, I'm all about different providers working together. I love physician assistants and nurse practitioners joining the fold. I worked with them, they're amazing. But more and more physician assistants and nurse practitioners are entering primary care
Yep.
roles and filling those gaps. So what mean to say about that is not that that's wrong. I think it's great that we work as a team, but you
Yeah.
got to realize the trend here. If they're not both going up and you have primary care docs going this way and PAs and NPs going this way, you're going to see less and less doctors in primary care and more physician assistant and nurse practitioners to the point that it's not going to be a team because there's not going to be any doctors left.
Yeah, and in some states that could actually be detrimental because some states, so there are some states that give NPs and PAs a lot of latitude on running their practice,
Yep.
but there are a lot of states that require a doctor or a DO or an MD to be a
Yeah.
part of the practice. So that I mean, if the MD is not there, then the PA and the NP can't function. So yeah, it's going to get to a point where it can't even
Mm.
work.
Well, that's why I say again, I'm all about teamwork, and I think I love that. I think different perspectives, different training. I think it's great, but all roles need to be there. And
Yeah,
if that one role of the MD or DO is going away in primary care, then you're not going to have enough to fill those offices, right?
yeah,
So
I
that's what
agree.
I mean. It's really in an existential crisis.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and it's kind of crazy to see where medical schools were at when I was a kid and growing up, and how many people wanted to go, and then go look at the numbers now. And as Dr. Foti mentioned, we'll throw some stats on here somewhere around the screen that kind of just depicts the drastic drop in medical school applications and even graduations. And on that note, I actually, Dr. Foti and I have some exciting news. So, as Dr. Foti has mentioned, that it is tough being a medical student, medical school student. It is tough. It is. I mean, it is. Go ahead, explain it. I mean, what goes through your head as a medical student? I'm sure there's anxiety, depression, stress. Give us a quick couple seconds on what you feel as a medical student, and then I'll kind of expand on our little surprise.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more difficult parts of the journey, if not the most difficult part, because it's such a big transition from college. You're talking about taking double the credits that you're taking in college per semester, right? It's a lot of work and a lot of things to learn in such a short amount of time. And unfortunately, the mental health crisis, medical school has not been shielded by that, right? So another statistic to throw at, our audience is that 30% of medical students on recent study across the country are suffering from anxiety and depression, and 10% around it at any time have active suicidal ideation. So I've been a big mental health advocate recently, and I'm trying to push the agenda of shedding light on mental health and erasing that stigma because we all have to take care of ourselves and how important that is. But there's a lot of work to do, and that's why Chris and I joined up on this surprise, which I'll let him share.
Yeah, no, and it kind of plays very well into today's episode because you did mention that a lot of people aren't going to medical school or even applying now because of the potential burnout, the potential stress and mental health things that come along with it, and even what happens after you're a full-fledged doctor and have to go through things. So it kind of plays into that, and I'm super excited. So we have created a resource, or we're in the process of creating a resource, and that resource is going to be an extension of MindSplit Cafe, and it's going to be MindSplit Cafe Med School Edition. So we're going to be providing resources, a newsletter, and videos. I believe we're going to be doing it monthly, so it'll be once a month episode. It'll be once a month newsletter as well as resources. So we're super excited about this. Hopefully, this does actually resonate with a lot of med schools. And Dr. Foti, you want to kind of, I mean, you're the brainchild of this one. You're the one that let's give the audience a little bit of more information, and we'll be running out of time shortly, but I definitely want them to know about this one, especially any medical school students or people thinking about going into medical school.
Yeah, yeah. So, we're going to be providing evidence-based resources. Those are kind of how that'll be kind of at the end of the newsletter. But throughout, I'm going to have videos of myself just talking about, I think, things that are really important for med students to know about wellness and taking care of yourself, and tips on med school and board exams and clinical rotations to try to alleviate those stresses and fears and everything in between that has to do within the wellness realm that a medical student would want to know.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know we're kind of building it out right now, so to come soon. We'll be giving some more details on it. We'll give a better time frame here in the next couple weeks. But I definitely wanted I wanted people to know about it and get it out there because I do think it's something important, especially when people are refraining from going to school because of things like this. I know it's kind of a multifaceted thing. There's several things that are causing this, but doctors are needed. Doctors are, like you said, they can be our best friends and our biggest advocate, and they get us to where we need to be health wise, or to the doctor that we need to go see. So absolutely, I think this is going to be great. I hope it does help some people out. But yeah, we'll be giving you guys some more information. If you are a med student or currently trying to apply to med school, and you would like to subscribe to this newsletter, keep in mind it's not going to be done for about a month or so at the very least, but you can subscribe at media@mindsplit.org. We'll also have something up on our website. We're actually revamping our website, so that'll be done in the next week or so. So just keep an eye out. I know Dr. Foti will be talking about it a lot on his social media platforms as well. So don't forget to go check him out. I'll put his platform right here and maybe right here somewhere. But yeah, Dr. Foti, you got anything else you want to leave with the listeners today before we sign off?
Yeah, yeah, and I know I hope I didn't, paint too much of a grim picture of the healthcare field, but I do it to shed a big light on the issue, but know that work is being done on multiple levels, from legislation down to just at the individual level, such as myself speaking up and trying to shed light on this, including the stigma of mental health. We're going to recover as a profession because there's so many professionals that I know and those that I probably don't who are working on this. So it's going to get better. And at the end of the day, our patients need us. We need to get out there and take care of them.
100%. I agree with that more than you'll ever know. I think doctors are a very important role in our society. And we need to do what we can do as a society to make sure that they can continue to help us.
100%.
Yep. So thank you, everyone. Keep an eye out for a med school edition. Keep an eye out for our regular newsletter that is actually coming out again on the 20th. And as always, if you guys have any questions, concerns, suggestions, shoot us an email at media@mindsplit.org or shoot us a quick DM. Until next time, everyone, thank you.